You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, bar, arcade, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
Today on the Game Marks podcast, we play All Japan Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua, thanks to Mega Mark Bret Van. Will this game hold up today? Will we play it forever? Woo! Or future endeavor? You're fired! All this plus gaming news, Clash at the Feast, and the launch of Gameboree 2021. Plug in, put on those nostalgia goggles, because this week's Game Marks podcast starts now.
And now, the Game Marks. Welcome to the Game Marks podcast presented by the Major Pod Network. I'm the man they call Johnny Clash.
And I am Mr. Anything is Feasible, George Feis, and today we are playing All Japan Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua.
Gotta love that Sega Saturn, and as always, we love to hear from you, so please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and make sure to subscribe and rate this podcast wherever you choose to listen and join the conversation on social media at GameMarksPod and on Patreon, patreon.com/GameMarksPod. George boy, how you doing? What's up? Happy Halloween. How's it going?
Happy Halloween. You gotta love that Sega Saturn? That's what you said?
Yeah. Do you not?
No, I
guess we'll find out later.
For some reason, I had it in my head going into this episode that you did not like the Sega Saturn.
Oh, I know nothing about it. This is the first game I've ever played on it. I know that you
like Sega. Like, you're a big Sonic guy, like when you were a kid and stuff, and I was not. I was more Nintendo, but I'm correct in that, right? You were a big Sega guy when you were a kid.
Oh, yeah. Genesis was my Genesis, you know?
Yeah. That's, you know what? Hey, there's a shirt.
What I like to make fun of is the Dreamcast. I think Sega Saturn tried a little too hard. It was the era of like the discs coming out, so PlayStation overshadowed it. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think the downfall of the Dreamcast is that they tried so many things that were so far ahead of their time, that now you look back at the Dreamcast and you're like, wow, they did a lot of stuff that like people like take for granted now. Like they had a little thing that you could put into the controller, and it was like a Tamagotchi before a Tamagotchi was a thing, or like it was like a more advanced form of a Tamagotchi where like you could load in characters from a game, and like it was like a pedometer and stuff. Like it was a lot of things that you could do with the Dreamcast. But I want to go off on a tangent about the Dreamcast.
Too late.
Today's not about the Dreamcast. Today is about the Sega Saturn.
That's right, but let's follow up a little bit from last week. We played WWE Legends Royal Rumble card game, and that was a lot of fun. And we're still scheduling our little playthrough with our friends of the pod. That is coming very soon. Our schedules need to align, but that is coming. But let's talk about what's on the docket for this week, because Monday you get the show ad-free. Tuesday, show notes and the return of GMP Game Over is back at 7 o'clock on Tuesday nights, and we play AKI Evolution. Wednesday, Future Endeavored. Last week, unfortunately, you played Wrestle War, which I played the week before that, and we all know how that ended up. But this week, George.
It's weird. It's so weird. It's such a weird game.
You think that's weird? This week, we finally get the return of Cutie Suzuki No Ringside Angel. And I cannot wait. I am cement.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, now Wednesday night, you also get George's live stream that he likes to do, the main event. Thursday, we're going to put out a little bonus ski. And Friday, guys, unfortunately, Clash and Burn, as we know it, has come to an end. But last week I revealed that it's going to come back with a little bit of a different format, a little monthly vlog. It's going to be more than just me talking about what games I played, what TV shows I watch. It's going to be something fun, and I can't wait to bring that to all of our Patreon subscribers. But also Friday, or I usually do it between 12 and 1 p.m., is Lunchtime Heat on Twitch, where we play whatever we want. We played Spider-Man last week. This week we played Age of Empires 2 in preparation for Age of Empires 4 that just came out. I'll play whatever you guys want me to.
So I had an idea.
Uh-oh.
What if...
Thought I smelled smoke.
What if you and I started a YouTube series where we play through a game that we already played, but like it's like an episodic thing. Like we sit down, maybe the episodes are like 20 minutes, and we'll play through, hypothetically, like SmackDown 1. And you play, and I'll do commentary, and that's the first episode. And then the second episode is I play, and you do commentary while I play.
We could do that, yeah. And then once we get to SmackDown 2, we could both play.
Yeah. So like, and like games with story modes, and we'll just like play through the story modes, and it's like a little episodic thing that we can go through, and like kind of, just because one show's going away doesn't mean that we can't fill that void with another show.
Oh, well, actually, speaking of, I completely forgot. Our episode 2 dropped of the Day of Reckoning playthrough on YouTube this week, and episode 3
I love it. I got itchy.
Yeah. Well, you did Future Endeavor the game, and I'll forever hold that against you, but I have through episode 6 edited so far, and we're going to go up to, I believe, 8 or 9. So we got a few weeks of Day of Reckoning coming, and I cannot wait to finish the story because I know where it stops, and then I know where Day of Reckoning 2 picks up, and after that, I'm going to have to start dabbling in that.
I was just going to say, I feel like that's got to be coming up, right?
Day of Reckoning 2? Yeah, we should get on that.
That's. I think that, I feel like I looked not too long ago when that episode came out. I feel like it's like the beginning of the year, so I think, right, it's like episode 4 or something.
Yeah, it's very close. I think we've recorded it the same day we interviewed Chris Statlander. So maybe we've passed it already. Yeah, it was like episode 2 or 3.
Oh.
That's all right. We don't have to be on point with it.
Yeah. But soon. It's coming up soon.
Yeah.
Someone pick it, because we don't pick games anymore.
But all right, tell us about the streamer spotlight for this month.
Actually, John, I think you should tell everybody about the streamer spotlight for this month.
All right, well, I chose a channel that I am very close with because, I'm featured on the channel. But we're going with youtube.com/createaprowrestling. I have to say this, guys.
Never heard of them.
It's not just shows and promos. There is a weekly show called Cap TV. I've been involved with it since the start. It's kind of evolved since. Bryce Donovan, Bobby Orlando, they are now the brains. They're now the brains behind Cap TV, and they do such a good job. Right now, Max Smashmaster's school is featured on there as they go head-to-head with Cap, and it is such a good time. Go check it out. Go check out Cap TV and go subscribe.
Wow, Cap versus Nupa.
Yep.
Nupa.
A nice little series going on.
Yeah, I like that Max Smashmaster guy.
He's all right. All right. We might be seeing him sooner than later on this show.
Yeah.
But George,
I heard something's happening with FWF2, and we might have to see him again soon.
Oh, baby. Okay. But George, spoiler alert.
Oh. Sound the alarm.
We did
Sound
it.
the alarm.
We did it. We are over 400 subscribers on YouTube, which means that we can now schedule, we can now prepare, we can get ready for the video game history of the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal, and that is going to come to you guys by mid-November, early December, the latest. We're going to put it together. We're going to drop it. This isn't going to be a weekly episode. This is going to be a bonus, so you're getting this with our weekly episode. I cannot wait to do it.
Oh, man. And at the end of that episode, we will reveal who the next video game breakdown will be. And I'm kind of excited for that one. We even got like a little teaser video to lead into that one. I'm very excited for that one. So, oh man, everything's like working out and lining up, and I'm very excited for this.
Everything's coming up, John and George.
Oh, look at that.
But all right, what do you say we head on over to some gaming news?
Are you looking to get a better grip on life? How about your video games? Well, VGF Gamers are the largest silicone gaming brand in the USA. They have a variety of different and unique skins for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One controllers and consoles. Check out their products at VGFgamers.com and use code GameMarks to receive 15% off your order at checkout. That's GAMEMARKS at checkout. VGF Gamers. Better grip, better style.
CD Projekt Red has recently revealed that any new content for Cyberpunk 2077 that was previously slated to launch this year, whether in the form of free updates or DLC, has now been delayed into 2022. Within recent weeks, CD Projekt Red announced that the free next-gen upgrade for those on PlayStation and Xbox had been pushed back into next year as well, and now seems as though the game as a whole isn't going to get any new updates of any sort for the remainder of 2021. But now Capcom has revealed today that Resident Evil Village, which was recently revealed to have surpassed 5 million copies sold, will be receiving free DLC in the future. While Capcom hasn't yet clarified what this free additional content for the game will look like, it will likely sit alongside some sort of paid DLC as well, which the publisher confirmed earlier this year that it was actively working on. But now a new tabletop game based on 1980s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon is now available. The new card game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtle Power, is a card game for 3 to 6 players, and it pits players against Krang in the sewers of New York City. Gameplay focuses on leveling up their heroes before the other players, with gameplay split into 2 distinct episodes. TMNT Turtle Power is available now for $9.99 at local game stores. And that's all the gaming news we have this week. Check back next week.
So speaking of Resident Evil, have you seen the trailer for the new Resident Evil movie? Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City.
It looked so good. Now,
some familiar faces in there.
And sometimes when they do kind of like the re-release, like later in the years, you're like, this kind of looks stupid. This looks so good.
So you got Robbie Amell, who's Stephen Amell's brother, is Chris Redfield. And if you don't know who Stephen Amell is, you should watch more wrestling. You've got Tom Hopper from Umbrella Academy as Albert Wesker,
which is great.
You have Nathan Dales from Letterkenny as Brad Vickers. Kaya, oh my God, how the hell do you say her name? Kaya Scodelario as Claire Redfield. And then Neil McDonough as William Birkin. It's if you have watched any television or movies in like the last, I don't know, 5 years, you're going to see a lot of familiar faces here. Donald Logue from Gotham's in there.
Oh, he's great. He's in like everything. He's discreetly just in like everything.
Really, really looking forward to this. Did you watch the original series of movies with Mila Jovovich?
I will watch anything that she's in, so yes. But actually...
did you enjoy them?
I enjoyed, I'll say, half of them.
The first one is the best one.
Of course. I still have that on. That was the first Blu-ray I ever bought. Our buddy...
Michelle Rodriguez turns in that movie. Oh, my God. That's so sad.
Our Adam Cole, Chugs, has been streaming Resident Evil. That's been a lot of fun. I've been watching that on Twitch.
He's great on Twitch.
Oh, so good. He plays the games you want to see. He doesn't play like, I'm playing Call of Duty. I'm playing Halo. I'm playing Resident Evil. He's playing the good stuff.
Oh, see, that's another game that we can do a multiplayer playthrough of.
Halo? Yeah, we got to do Halo 2, right? Did you finish your first playthrough?
I am halfway through Halo 1.
Oh, my God. It's taking you forever.
I stopped because I picked up Madden, and now I'm like really into Madden for some reason.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, I think we're done with gaming news with that. Now, what do you say? We head on over to the mark out moment because we got something big here. What's up, Game Marks? Are you trying to look your best while repping your favorite video game podcast duo? We know just the place. Head over to ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod to pick up your favorite GMP designs, including our various logo tees, Future Endeavor, the classic NES Pro Wrestling style tee, and of course, Mark the F out. Order today and receive a phone call from us. You never know who will pop in. That's ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod. Play it forever.
The Mark Out Moment is a segment where we like to highlight something that happens within our little Game Marks podcast community. A good review, something cool that happens in our little community. And if we pick your moment, you get an 8x10. But this mark out moment, John, is all about Gameboree.
Oh, baby, it's back. If you are unfamiliar with Gameboree,
When does that start?
it starts today. And if you haven't been with us from the start, Gameboree is where we raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Last year, we were able to raise over $1,000. But this year, I think we made it a little easier to donate. We have some cooler prizes, and we're going to run that all down right now. And we're going to start by telling you guys who is sponsoring this great event, because we couldn't do it without them. First of all, Secret Levels Podcast. We announced this last week. Go follow them. Go check them out. Friends of the pod, friends of the show, friends of ours, and they are our main sponsor. I want you guys to go show them some love because we couldn't do this without them. And then we have the Run-In Podcast. You've heard of them before. You know them. You love them. Go give them a listen. Go give them a follow. They are great friends of the podcast, and we are happy to have them on board. But I think we could speak for everyone when it comes to the prizes. We were a little bit blown away, George. But our friend, the Elder Spork, Best Batch Promotions, has supplied us with the prizes that we're going to get into next, and he is our third sponsor. Right before we mention a game that we covered not too long ago, we interviewed Shannon Williams of Markout Digital Card Game, and he is on board with Gameboree 2021. And in what ways
I'm telling you right now, one part of Gameboree when we do so from now till when Gameboree is over, any money that is raised on stream from donations or bits or subscriptions is all going towards Gameboree. That being said, there will be a day where I stream nothing but Markout. There will be a whole stream dedicated to just me playing and having fun with this awesome game, and I cannot wait to do a live deep dive on Twitch.
Hey, I'll be there for that. That's going to be awesome. But let's get into these prizes here. I'm going to work from the bottom up. How about that? So,
I like it.
Speaking of Markout, he has supplied us with some Steam codes for his game, Markout Digital Card Game. And we're going to give away 3 of those during Game Marks Mania. And we're going to do some raffles as well we're going to be in the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast Patreon group doing some raffles. We'll hit Twitter, we'll hit Facebook, we'll hit everywhere, and we'll have some stuff available with all the proceeds going to St. Jude. Now, the second highest donor this year, we've simplified this a big this year, guys. It's going to be so much easier to follow. But the second highest donor will receive a Cassius Ohno signed WWE Elite Series 71 figure. Now, this is a $70 figure on eBay unsigned, and now it's signed by Chris Hero. Unbelievable. Best Batch Promotions hit it out of the park with that one. You will also receive a Markout Digital Card Game Steam code, an exclusive Gameboree t-shirt, some gamer grips, and a signed Game Marks podcast print. Now, we know you guys love those.
This year's print, let me tell you something. This year's Gameboree print, I really love it.
It's so good. You nailed it out of the park. So now,
it warms my heart.
The grand prize, the highest donor.
Oh, man.
You're going to get the Markout Digital Card Game code. You're going to get the t-shirt, the gamer grips. You're going to get the print. But you're also going to get a limited edition Best Batch Promotions signed print bundle. Now, there is somewhere between 12 and 15 8x10s in this bundle. Now, this is not limited to, but the names we know so far, we have Danhausen, Fandango, Tyler Breeze, Jazz, Pitbull Gary Wolf, James Storm. I mean, Chris Hero, Rachel Ellering. This goes on and on. There's going to be so many names on that. Brian Myers, of course. But speaking of Brian Myers, the top prize.
You were auctioning off Brian Myers now too.
Win a date with Brian Myers.
This kind of thing.
The highest donor, you will also receive a signed commemorative WWE Raw Championship title belt signed by Brian Myers and Matt Cardona, courtesy Best Batch Promotions. I think that's the best prize we've ever had on here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and just to know that you have the opportunity to get all of these amazing prizes, and you not only get this incredible swag, but on top of that, you know that you are donating to an incredible organization. For those of you who are not familiar with St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, they have one sound philosophy, and that is the parents, the families of these affected children should only have one thing to worry about, and that is the care of their children. Families who go to St. Jude's to get the medical care pay zero money out of pocket. And that's just an incredible thing that they do. It is a message that John and I absolutely can get behind, that, you know, families have enough to worry about with having a child who is affected by a horrible illness. They should only have to worry about making sure that their child gets the best care possible. And so St. Jude's, it's just unreal organization. Proud to be working with them. Happy to give as much money as we can possibly raise to them. And yeah,
let's break last year's record. But George, there's more, because we mentioned Game Marks Mania before. Now this is going to be at a date that we're going to determine a little bit later, because, you know, we have to figure out with our schedule when we're going to do this. But Game Marks Mania is a marathon stream. It's going to start at 2 hours. Now every $5 donated will extend the stream by 5 minutes. So if you donate $20, we're going 20 more minutes. You feel me? Now, a $50 donation will not only add time, but you'll be able to choose our next game. So if you guys want us to play WWF Warzone, we're playing WWF Warzone, no questions asked. But I think this is my favorite one of them all, because when we hit $500 donated, GMP 64 is back.
Season 1 rosters making the return
for a super show. Now, this date's also going to be determined. It's most likely going to be a Sunday night from now until January 1st, where we're going to play GMP 64. We're going to do the commentary. We're back, and if you donate $20 to this cause after it's unlocked, you will be able to make a match for that night. Man. Now, how do you donate, you ask? I think that's the one thing we have left to cover.
You know, that was the next question that I was going to ask you.
Well, first of all, it's plastered all over our social media with links. You could just click and go. But say you're old school. Say you want to type it in right now while you're listening on your phone. Head over to GameMarksPod.com/donate, and there are multiple donate buttons that'll take you right to the page where it's all in GoFundMe. Now, this is not a GoFundMe that's just ran by us. This is going straight to St. Jude, so no fees are coming out of our pocket here. It is all going straight in, and we're doing this until January 1st, and we're going to try to break some records here.
I cannot tell you how much I look forward. If you come to the Wednesday streams, you hear me. This is how I start pretty much every stream from now until the end of Gameboree. John and I have a lot of fun doing this podcast. I think it is one of the most exciting things that we do. It's a huge creative outlet. Both huge wrestling fans, both huge video game fans. I think, and I'm speaking for John as well, I think this is the best thing that this podcast does. I think it's better than any episode. I think it's better than any piece of content that we've ever done, because we are able to turn this platform that we have, no matter how big or small it is, into a vehicle for good. And I think that is the most important thing that anybody who has any kind of platform to do. And I'm very happy that John and I are able to put this together.
That's right. And we're going to be updating you from now until Gameboree is coming to an end, and we cannot wait to get this going. But George, what do you say we get into now the deep dive? We are playing All Japan Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua. Are you ready to go?
I am ready to go with my weird-ass Sega Genesis controller. All right, John. All Japan Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua, aka Zen Nippon Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua, released October of 1997, published by Sega, developed by Scarab and Sega AM2 for the Sega Saturn and arcade cabinets. Now, this game comes out in 97. I feel like this is the part where you have a lot of fun with. So why don't you take us through what else is out in 97?
In 97, oh my God, we have WCW versus the World for PlayStation. And at the same time, you're getting WCW versus NWO World Tour for N64. But that also means you're getting Virtual Pro Fighter 64 for the N64. 97 was a good year for WCW.
You mean Virtual Pro Wrestling?
What'd I say?
Virtual Pro Fighter.
Oh, shit. Virtual Pro Fighter. Fuck.
No.
Virtual Pro Wrestling 64 for the N64.
Oh, man.
97 was a good year for WCW.
Kind of stacked. Not a ton of wrestling games, but the ones that come out, bangers. I mean, this game, I don't even know where to start. It's an All Japan Pro Wrestling game. Obviously, if you're at all familiar with Japanese wrestling, you are 100% familiar with All Japan Pro Wrestling, founded by Giant Baba. Now, what you may not know is that the featuring Virtua is actually a reference to another Sega title, which is Virtua Fighter. And this is a crossover where there are two wrestlers from Virtua Fighter that have crossed over into the world of All Japan Pro Wrestling. And now, if you are a massive fan of Virtua Fighter and a huge fan of All Japan Wrestling, and you wanted to see Wolf Hawkfield go against Giant Baba, well, guess what? This is your game.
I like these crossovers. You know, it's somewhere in the realm of Saturday Night Slam Masters having some Street Fighter cameos, but it's not at the same time because All Japan is obviously a real promotion where it's not in Slam Masters. But I like this. I like the little crossover. It's cool to see sometimes. It's very odd in like the intro FMV because it shows real wrestling and then it just cuts to like cool 3D renderings of the Virtua Fighters. Yeah. And the same thing with like the character select screen. It's a little off-putting, but at the same time you're like, oh, that's kind of a cool matchup.
Yeah. So you said crossover, and my brain immediately just went to, oh man, could you imagine if there was, and I know what you're going to say in response to this, could you imagine if there was like a Super Smash Brothers style wrestling game?
Oh man.
But like
somewhere,
it's a massive crossover from like all promotions. You get like WWE and all their promotions that they own, but then you also get like AEW and TNA and, you know, New Japan and All Japan.
That would be pretty cool. Somewhere in the realm of like WrestleMania, the arcade game. You know, like Undertaker shoots like things out of his hand. No, I'm saying like character-wise.
I'm saying like where it's like you can have like 8 wrestlers on a like 2D platformer style.
I know what you
like
mean.
That.
I know what you mean.
But could you imagine if it was like 84 wrestlers in a Super Smash Brothers?
Like, how do you even pick? Like, Vince would be like, oh, I want 10 more of my guys than their guys.
I feel like it would be one of those things that like someone would have to build.
Yeah.
It would like there's no way that all these companies would ever agree to have their wrestlers be in the same game.
No,
like,
but even one promotion doing a game like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? There's always I never thought that we get anything like Battleground, so
that's true.
Who knows what they'll come up with next? But let's dive right back in to this very, very interesting game for the Saturn. Your game mode options is the 1-player mode, where you fight through the entire roster to claim the title. A 2-player mode, which is just versus mode. You have training, you have career mode, you have create a wrestler, and obviously like options and stuff like that. But let's go back a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about this career mode, which is actually called featuring mode.
So this is actually where you create your wrestler in here, which is kind of cool because in 97, you're not getting that in a lot of titles where you're creating the wrestler and taking them through the career. So
no, that was like the big thing in World Tour that I was like, you can't even change like the costumes of the wrestlers besides like what's in there.
So basically you create a wrestler here. You take them on the road to winning the All Japan Triple Crown Championship, and you start off, your character kind of doesn't have any moves and it's not very strong and you can't really win games. You have to kind of build up your persona, build up your character, build up your stats and all that, which I think is a pretty cool feature because listen, that's how it actually is. And
Yeah.
That's how most games now still work, where your guy's not going to be top. You look at NHL, look at Madden. Your guy's going to be very low ranked for a while until you boost them up a little bit. But as you progress, obviously you get more points and you could spend them on moves for your character. Now, I think this was the hard part here because there is a big language barrier with the text in the featuring mode. So some of the stuff is very hard to go through. So we're basing a little bit of this off of what we read online because playing through the featuring mode was not the easiest thing to do. So our guy kind of stayed very low from the start, we'll say.
Mainly because the Google Translate changes.
Yeah.
It's so rapidly, so you'd be like, oh, it says this, and then all of a sudden it would change to something that is like the complete opposite meaning of what it actually said before, and I'm just like, all right, I'm tapping out on this. I'm tapping out.
Yeah. So if you actually do manage to win your first 7 matches, you proceed to the tournament for the All Japan Triple Crown Championship, and best of luck to you there if you win it. But let's go through this Create a Wrestler here because it's very bare bones. It's not like what you see today. You get to select your wrestler's name, and it's kind of a list of names. Say, like, you're in NHL, you might give your guy a name, but you also give, like, a play-by-play name that they call you by, in case...
Which is what 2K does now.
Yeah, in case, you have a weird name. Like, my last name people aren't going to have just in a game. It was in, like...
Clash?
It was in, like, NHL 09, like, my actual last name, and I was trying to find the player that it was actually from, and I couldn't find it for the life of me. It must have been, like, an AHL guy or something.
I didn't know that there was hockey players with the last name Clash.
Yeah, you see, the more you know. But you select your name, and that is what the crowd will chant. So now you also select your wrestler's age. I'm not sure why this is relevant, but that's something you do. And I think this was cool. You pick like their prior sports experience. So this is more of like their style. So there is gymnastics, sumo, drumming, tennis, Chinese Kempo, which is karate, baseball, amateur wrestling, basketball, karate, soccer, arm wrestling, judo, rugby, and street fighting. So that's kind of your character's backbone of their moveset that they're going to get, like their base moves.
Me and TK Wild making creative wrestlers and selecting drumming.
Not arm wrestling. But then this is the most interesting part here. It takes you through a bunch of questions that you have to answer. Like, if you were in this situation, would you choose A or would you choose B? What if you were in this situation?
Personality traits?
Yeah, it's like almost like they're giving you like a 12 to 14 point like IQ test. It's very odd for a game. I don't know why it's relevant when you could just kind of pick like, hey, I'm a heel. Or hey, I'm a babyface. But then you go on to select your character's look. There's not much to choose from, and then you take it from there and you go and try to win that Triple Crown Championship.
Damn.
But let's get into the actual gameplay of the base wrestlers here, because each wrestler does have a unique moveset. You could work specific parts of your opponent's body and wear them down. See, we didn't really dabble in this too much because, me and you were very competitive. We're just trying to pin each other and get the win.
I'll say it's a slugfest.
Yeah. You get informed throughout how damaged these are by little prompts on the screen that'll say like, hey, the arm is hurt. Maybe go for an arm hold, which is so hard to pinpoint. When you reach 100% on 2 different areas of the body part, the match will be ended and you're the winner. But you could also pin for the 3 count, obviously. We noticed there's no ring out count when you go outside the ring. Maybe that's an option you can change, but we couldn't really read the options menu. And you unlock additional moves the more you get damage. Did you know this part, George? Because this is not something we also utilize, but it's very momentum heavy where, say, you're losing the match, you're getting more moves, you're going to be able to fight back a little bit more. And I think this is the part in Clash at the Feast you'll notice where I said R1 used to give me moves and it doesn't anymore. So I think...
Well, this is also the same thing where when you kick out of a pin. So like if I pin you and you kick out, you gain health.
Right, yeah, you gain a lot of health back.
So in matches where, if... For those of you who watch us play the video games on our YouTube channel for Clash at the Feast, John and I tend to go for a lot of pins throughout matches. So at one point, I noticed that this happened, and I was just like, I just keep giving John health every time I go for a pin.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
So, you're welcome for that.
But I did notice during the playthrough, I was pressing R1 and it was doing like body slams. It was doing this. And then all of a sudden it went back to just being like a block button, which didn't really block much. And that's when I was like, wait a minute, I'm kind of damaged now. So maybe this is just giving me an extra suplex or something. It gives you a moment to actually fight back.
Yeah, which is there's a lot of mechanics in this game that I found to be not. I guess it could be perceived depending on how you look at it. Like, it's very innovative in a lot of the mechanics, considering the year that this game comes out and the console that it's on. You know, you would never think that like such a technical or technically advanced style game with all of these like intricate styles, like you're not doing. Like, you could focus limbs in World Tour and in VPW 64, but like there's no real indicator. Like, it's not like there's your little character model up in the top left or right in like a 2K where it shows limb damage. You can focus those things, and obviously you can wear them down throughout the match, but there's no real indicators in those games. This game has the text that pops up. There's a lot of mechanics in this game that are kind of like advanced for the time, I guess. It would be a long time before these kinds of things would become mainstream.
Yeah, and I was also thinking about like the health bar and all that, the percentage. There's a lot going on up there, and it kind of takes up a lot of the screen. And then I remember this is also an arcade port where it's going to be a little bigger and you're going to have all that. So
yeah,
once you figure that out.
We played the Saturn port, but you know, if you're playing this in an arcade cabinet, the screen is significantly larger than what would be like a 480p resolution on your TV screen.
Yeah. But before we go any further, what do you say we get into this roster here?
Oh, I'm ready for this one.
You want me to do this? You like giving me the Japan rosters.
I mainly just want you to do it for who was first, because I want the voice.
All right. Your All Japan Pro Wrestling roster is first up. You have People Power, Johnny Ace. Then you
It's actually pretty good.
Jun Akiyama, Gary Albright, Giant Baba, Stan Hansen, Toshiaki Kawada, Kenta Kobashi, Misaharu Misawa, Akira Tao, and Steve Williams, Dr. Death. But now you also have a Virtua roster who consists of Jeffrey McWild and Wolf Hawkfield. Jeffrey McWild, that sounds like someone like a Mighty Ducks character.
Oh, I was going to say,
cartoon.
it sounds like someone that you would play as in like SSX Tricky.
Were you a Virtua fighter kid? Did you play that at all?
No, my experience with Virtua Fighter was like, I would see the cabinet in an arcade as a kid. I would play it, and then I would immediately just go find like the Tekken or the Street Fighter or the Mortal Kombat, because those are more my style. I've never been really big. So obviously Tekken's like the 3D fighter style, but like this style of fighting game where it's like super technical, I guess. Like, this plays like a Virtua Fighter game, and for some reason this has never been my style. I maybe just like not as a kid, maybe as more of an adult, like as I started to appreciate the fighting style games more. I don't know, maybe that's like something I'll have to do on a side. Maybe I'll do a bonus series where I go back and I play like the Virtua Fighter series and see how I like it. Like that and DOA were never like games I was like big on. But like DOA is up there with like Rumble Roses. Like, it's that kind of game.
Yeah, I was never big on it. I said last time we played Smash Masters 2. Smash Masters 2. He'll enjoy that one. Slam Masters 2. I wasn't a big fighter. You know, I had the Mortal Kombats. I had the Streets of Rage. I had Soul Calibur, but that's kind of where it stopped. I never really got into too much of the fighting game, so this is kind of new to me, seeing the Virtua.
Soul Calibur's... That's not a game I would expect you to play.
I love Soul Calibur on the Xbox with Spawn.
I was going to say, because you got the cool exclusive character, but you didn't really continue beyond that one, right?
No, I'd love to go back and play that, though.
I have the newest one that came out, I think last year on Steam.
Maybe I'll have to give that a shot with you.
Oh, all right.
But let's talk.
Maybe that's a part of Game Marks Mania.
Maybe. But let's talk about the arena here, because I think it's very well put together. We noticed that the crowd, we're sticklers for the crowd during the entrance and during the match, really. They're kind of just a flat image of a crowd that doesn't move. But you also don't notice it too much. Like, it's not an overbearing crowd. So
the way that I describe, or like that it sits in my head, is like, when you go on Facebook and someone uploads like the 360 photo where you can like
a panorama.
Like the panoramic, and it like that's what it feels like. Like, it feels like they just took like a panoramic shot, a super wide shot, and then they're just like, okay, this is the center of the picture. And this is how far it needs to be when the camera pans to the right. This is how far it needs to be, like at the widest part that the camera will pan to the left. And it just moves along this like flat image. There's really no perspective for like a corner.
No.
So like obviously the ring is a square and it has like you get the perspective of that, but there's really no perspective to the crowd, if that makes sense. Like there's no like corner of the arena where like
it's just circular.
You see, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
kind of a
hate
smaller
it, though.
arena also. Like it's not like a garden or I don't know. It's not a Tokyo Dome. It's just a small arena. And as far as I know, it's only one in this game, right? You only have one arena.
There was no options. I think the aprons change throughout the story mode, but the arena itself never changes.
Yeah. I mean, overall, it looked pretty nice. I thought it was
I'm like
nice
super surprised that I didn't hate this crowd. Like I thought that it was like when I pointed it out that it was going to bug me.
No, because it looks like a crowd, because it is a crowd, and
it's people.
It darkens as it goes up, so there's that perspective to it where it's not overbearing, it's not taking over like your visual, like, oh, this crowd is just so distracting. No, like maybe if they were moving, like maybe if it was like a 2 or 3 frame thing where like they are this way, then their arms up, and then they go back, like something like that on a loop, it would be annoying, but I think this way it's fine.
Yeah, I didn't hate it.
No.
I will tell you something that I did miss, and that is entrances. Or just
they're there, but they're not.
The presentation of the entrances.
You kind of just walk from the side of the ring into the ring, and it's kind of cut like cinematically a little bit, and it shows you the song that's playing, which is kind of cool.
Okay. I say that, and now I'm thinking like World Tour. No entrances. Just kind of the camera pans into the crowd. Wrestlers standing in the corner. They like swing their arms around. That's it. World Tour has.
It's just kind of the camera pan in.
Yeah, camera cuts in, and just kind of spins around the ring, and it goes right back in. It's very similar to World Tour.
So at least we got something here. And I didn't think it was terrible. I don't like long entrances. Like watching Triple H's or Undertaker's entrance in a game right now, I've seen it so many times. It pains me to sit there and watch it. I don't want it.
Oh, yeah. Well, you even lose patience when we just play the, like in the Fire Pro games. You're just like, all right, this is way too long.
Yeah, it's just not something I need to see.
Johnny Clash, not an entrance guy.
Not an entrance guy. I do like watching like new entrances, like a new wrestler. I like watching their stuff.
Okay.
So like when Sin Cara first came out, I enjoyed watching his entrance because he does the like swan dive into the ring. Yeah. I like seeing new ones like Demon or Bray Wyatt, but
yeah.
Triple H, Undertaker, I don't care.
You want to hop into this artwork because this is a pretty one.
I absolutely do. Yeah, let's go.
All right, so this artwork, you got the Sega Saturn logo on the left side there with that. I don't think enough consoles like do gold.
No, I've never seen a Sega Saturn disc either. This is the first one I'm laying my eyes on.
Sega Saturn logo is cool. Probably, I could do without the Saturn planet itself, but the text with that big S for the Saturn is cool. I love the gold background, but the game itself, very reminiscent of a lot of the other Japanese games that we've played. They're, well known for this super artistic style. And obviously this game is no different. Does not disappoint. Beautiful artist renderings of the real life wrestlers, but also they kind of managed to splice in these images of the two guys from Virtua Fighter that also match this style. It's cool.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why it's that artistic feel, because you're not going to put 3D rendered Virtua Fighter guys on a cover with real wrestlers. So,
I mean, you could have done the 3D renders of everybody. We've seen games do that before, too.
I hate that so much. I'm glad they didn't. I think it's a pretty cool cover, and I think the logo itself is really nice.
Oh, yeah. I had a lot of fun recreating this for this episode artwork. I mean, It's one of the more fun ones that I had the the pleasure of making. Sometimes the Japanese wrestling games can get a little
tricky,
wild and out there.
Let's go to the back cover now because you have the same nice illustrated image. Now you got a little drop shadow tone to it with some reds, some oranges, some yellows. The whole thing kind of
do it.
Oh no, are we going to translate? There's too much to translate. Listen, it's just
Can you give me that yellow?
The top.
Oh wait, did they already translate it?
Oh wow, they did. They did.
Feel the power and the fury. Get ready for the Get ready for the in your face, but it's IN-YER-face.
In your.
Get ready for the in your face actions of All Japan Pro Wrestling plus VF.
Yeah, wow, actually everything here has a translation next to it, so that's pretty cool.
Wow. That's awesome.
Goes to the roster, you have your screenshots of the game. Now visually, I don't mind what this game looked like for 97. I'm not going to put it up there with the graphics and the textures of, say, like a Warzone or an Attitude, because those are great. But they're like a step
on par with Versus the World.
It's on par, and I think that it looks
Maybe
a little bit
better.
more like a real person.
Yeah, it's weird. So like certain angles that the camera takes, I guess the way that the face texture is mapped to the bodies, I noticed this more with Dr. Death than anybody else. Certain camera angles, it looks nothing like him because I think of how they map the texture to the face. But other camera angles, you're like, oh hell yeah, that is 100% Dr. Death. Like there's just like some weird camera angles that it takes sometimes. The other thing that I noticed, and I called it out during our Clash of the Feast, I think, the versus text that pops up before the match is the best looking thing in the whole game.
Oh yeah, it's so nice.
I don't know what they did to get this looking so crisp in 97, but it is like the best font text in any game from 97 that I've ever seen.
I think it's the way that light, like off-white, plays with the red background, but yeah, it looks almost like it's vectored out, not pixely for 97, but we know that's not the case.
Crazy, crisp, clean text.
Yeah, now let's go to the character select screen because it's very similar to every other arcade game, where it's, that you have the players in the middle and you select their little icon. Giant Baba takes up 4 slots because he's just so big and he's obviously the owner of New Japan, and that's what you're going to get. And it does tell you how to execute a finisher here, but it's very hard to do. And I think the setup writing is in Japanese, so it's also hard to kind of figure out how to do it, but it does tell you that right there on the character select screen, like A, H, T, or A, B, B, C for your special when you have the 100% blinking.
Yeah. Now, apparently, there's actually a hidden character.
Is there, George? There's also, did you know? Did you know a special move valued at 1,810 points is unlocked when you win Heroes Carnival Tournament in your first year, then win the title and defend it 20 consecutive times?
Did you know Hiroshi Hase is unlockable in this game after you defeat him in the career mode?
Did you know this game is on eBay for around $10 to $20 used and can actually be found on Amazon for $16.99?
Prime?
It's probably not Prime. It's probably $30 shipping. But yeah, like you said, Hiroshi Hase is an unlockable here, and to unlock him, you create a new character and you start the featuring mode. And now, after defeating a few opponents, you run into Hase and you defeat him, and he becomes selectable. But that's not all, George. This is why Baba, I think, takes up so many slots, because they fill in as you go. Hyper is available, who is basically a really fast giant Baba, and he has all of the moves from all of the characters in the game. Now, to get him, you play on the hard difficulty, and you get a full 200 points for the first 2 matches, and then Hyper just shows up. But wait, there's more. There's also Hyper 2. You start a 1-player mode with the character that beat you in 1-player mode, I think that is.
What I'm seeing is defeat Hyper 1 or Hyper 2 in arcade mode, then hold L and choose Giant Baba on the character select screen to play as Hyper, and hold R and choose Giant Baba to play as Hyper 2.
I'll take it. Sounds great.
Did you see the thing about Tornado?
No.
There's another character that you can play as, and it's Tornado, and the password to unlock them is just a bunch of asterisks.
Okay. I guess that's confusing because you have to like count the asterisks, and that gets like all jumbled on your screen. Oh, how many is there? I don't know.
Apparently, he goes by either Tornado or Bomber.
Interesting.
It's like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how much I believe that one.
I don't know about that either.
But John, I know that you're very, very stressed after having to read that All Japan roster. I know you get nervous sometimes, but you know, maybe the ratings and reviews music will calm you down as you take us through them.
Oh. All right, so we're gonna start with a game FAQ rating from the users here. They give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. They give it a 4 out of 5 for difficulty, and they give it a 3 out of 5 for longevity and length. Now, Chris Harris, yeah, with James Storm. Now, IGN actually rated this game, which is rare for a Japanese title.
Oh.
And Craig Harris gives this an 8 out of 10, but he says, All Japan Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua is probably one of the best wrestlers that hit the Saturn, and that includes Hudson's Cool Fire Pro Wrestling.
Oh, that's
a dig. That's a deep shot right there. The game is a little on the sluggish side, but then it has impact, especially when you could pit Virtua Fighter favorites Wolf and Jeffrey against real league wrestlers. Now, okay. Look at the Fire Pro series. You think in 1997, they don't have their shit together and they're popping out sick games, which we know they do. How they ported to the Sega Saturn, that's a question I don't know, and I think we're going to get some of those coming up soon. But I cannot see in any way, shape, or form, and this is me saying this, that this game was better than a Fire Pro game.
All right, 2 things. First, what happened to you?
What do you mean?
Did I corrupt you this much that now like Fire Pro? Oh my God!
Have you seen the Clash and Burn logo?
I know. And 2, also, you got to take into account where Fire Pro's at in '97.
Yeah, but we played the SNES
it's not
ones
Fire
and they
Pro
were good.
Wrestling World.
I know that, but the Super Nintendo ones are great.
I know, but listen, and this is I feel like we're switching roles here. Not everybody is a huge Fire Pro Wrestling fan, and if you're more inclined to favor the at the time new technology of 3D, renders of characters, because it's like where gaming is going. And, obviously onward and upward for however many decades now that, everything's been refined. If this is now what the standard is, maybe some people are more inclined to be like, well, why the hell would I play a Fire Pro game now that I've got these, beautiful 3D renders of my wrestlers that I love to play as?
All right, well, I will say this. The Fire Pro Wrestling games for the Saturn are Blazing Tornado, Fire Pro Gaiden Blazing Tornado in 94, which could be, and Fire Pro Wrestling S 6-Man Scramble. So maybe because it's not the regular old Fire Pro, then I don't know. But it still has like the deathmatch, the gruesome fighting, and all that stuff. So I don't know. I listen, I'm not a critic, and he still gave it a good score, so who am I to argue?
You say you're not a critic? This is the whole premise of this podcast. We're critics, John.
Yeah, that's true. It's time to rate the games.
The game!
I figured that was a good segue right there. So George Feis.
That's a good segue.
George Feis. All Japan Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua. Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
You're fired!
For crossover video games, it's a play it forever. I love the fact that it's a crossover game. For the actual game itself, it's a big old future endeavor.
You're fired!
All right, I'm not sure I saw you going that way.
And what about you, John? All Japan Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua for the Sega Saturn. Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
As my first Sega Saturn title I've ever played in my life, give or take, like maybe my memory is just a blur from when I was a kid and my cousin had the console, but I don't remember ever seeing them turn it on. Oh, man. I'm going to play it forever just because I'm curious to go through and see how to create a wrestler and go through the featuring mode, and I think there's a lot to this game that was way ahead of its time, and I'm interested to check it out more.
Okay. I think we both surprised each other.
Yeah, I don't hate this game at all. I thought it was fun when we did our run through. I thought Clash at the Feast was fun. You could tell kind of while doing like the playthroughs and the Clash at the Feast when you're like, can this just be over already? I want this to be done. But instead I was sitting there like, okay, I'm ready for the next match. I want to see what else like Giant Baba could do. I want to see what else Stan Hansen could do. I want to see the Lariat. I want to learn the finishers. I think there's just a lot to this game, and it was pretty good.
All right. Well, I think it's time for us to go and talk about our weekly tournament, Clash at the Feast.
So youtube.com/GameMarks podcast for this week's episode where we play through All Japan Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua, and you will see who took the month of October. Was it Johnny tying it up, or was it George? Check it out. Let us know. Get some feedback. But George, I am excited for what our Mega Marks chose for us for the following month. We also have the Road Warriors episode coming up. But tell us what we're playing next week.
Oh, man. I'm like, I don't know how to feel about this one, just knowing how much fun we had with the first one. But thanks to Mega Mark Jamie Patterson Soups, we will be playing Backyard Wrestling 2. There Goes the Neighborhood.
Oh, boy. All right, I will say this. I'll tell you this right now. I sent out the bat signal to fellow backyard legend, CPA, Nick Stapp.
Oh.
He said if our schedules align, he's coming on board, but we'll see. We'll see what night we record and if that's possible for him. So
This roster, there's not, I'm not ready for this roster.
yeah, but we'll get into that next week.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
All right.
Are we good?
Yeah, I think that's it. You good to go?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this week on the Game Marks podcast. Please check out all of our merchandise at GameMarksPod.com/shop. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/GameMarksPod. It's the best way besides listening to support the podcast. So please make sure to follow us on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. Leave us a 5-star review and a rating on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to wherever great podcasts can be found. Guys, Gameboree has begun. Make sure to give what you can for a great cause. And John, it's time for you to do that thing.
Game over. Marks. Donate to Gameboree.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the Clash at the Feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.